Sarah Martinez adjusted her maternity dress for the third time. The silk fabric stretched tight over her 7-month bump. She checked her phone again. Marcus was 20 minutes late to their anniversary dinner. The upscale restaurant buzzed with quiet conversations and clinking wine glasses. Sarah sat alone at their reserved table, watching other couples share intimate moments. Her wedding ring caught the candlelight. 5 years married, and this was supposed to be their celebration. Mrs. Martinez? The waiter approached with gentle eyes. Would you like to order an appetizer while you wait? I'll give him 5 more minutes. Sarah forced a smile. He's probably stuck in traffic. The waiter nodded and walked away. Sarah didn't notice how his jaw tightened, how his fists clenched at his sides. The restaurant door exploded open. Every head turned toward the commotion. A woman in a red dress strode through the entrance like she owned the place. Her heels clicked against the marble floor with military precision. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. She recognized that face from Marcus's phone. The woman he claimed was just a colleague. There you are, you pathetic little mouse. The woman's voice cut through the restaurant's peaceful atmosphere. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. Forks paused halfway in mouths. Sarah's hands instinctively moved to protect her belly. Excuse me? You heard me. The woman stopped directly in front of Sarah's table. I'm Jessica, Marcus's real woman, the one who actually satisfies him. The entire restaurant watched in stunned silence. An elderly couple at the next table exchanged horrified glances. A young family quickly ushered their children toward the exit. I don't understand. Sarah's voice barely rose above a whisper. Marcus said you worked together. That you were working together? Jessica's laugh was sharp as broken glass. Oh, honey, we've been working together all right. In his bed. In your bed. On your kitchen counter. Sarah felt the blood drain from her face. Her pregnancy hormones made everything feel magnified, overwhelming. That's not true. Marcus wouldn't. Wouldn't what? Cheat on his boring, frigid wife. Jessica leaned down until her face was inches from Sarah's. He tells me everything about you. How you just lie there like a dead fish. How you cry during movies. How you're so desperate for his attention. The words hit like physical blows. Sarah gripped the edge of the table. Her knuckles turned white. Please stop. Sarah glanced around at all the staring faces. People are watching. Let them watch. Jessica straightened up and raised her voice even louder. Let them see what happens when pathetic women try to hold on to men who don't want them anymore. A businessman at the bar pulled out his phone, started recording. Within seconds, other diners followed suit. The clicks of camera shutters filled the air like rainfall. You're embarrassing yourself, Sarah said quietly. This isn't the place. This is exactly the place. Jessica's eyes blazed with cruel satisfaction. Marcus told me you'd be here tonight. Sitting alone like always, waiting for scraps of his attention like a hungry dog. Sarah tried to stand. Her pregnant body moved slowly, awkwardly. I'm leaving. No, you're not. Jessica placed a manicured hand on Sarah's shoulder and shoved her back into the chair. Hard. The impact sent shockwaves through Sarah's spine. Her belly bounced with the sudden movement. She gasped and clutched her stomach protectively. Jessica, please. Sarah's voice cracked. I'm pregnant. This stress isn't good for the baby. Your baby? Jessica's smile turned predatory. Honey, Marcus doesn't even want that thing. He told me he hoped you'd miscarry naturally. Save him the trouble of pretending to care. The restaurant fell completely silent except for the soft jazz music still playing overhead. Even the waitstaff had stopped moving. Everyone stood frozen, watching the nightmare unfold. Sarah felt tears burning her eyes. You're lying. Am I? Jessica pulled out her phone, scrolled through text messages. Here's what he sent me yesterday. Can't wait for this pregnancy to be over. Then I can finally leave her and start our real life together. She held the phone screen inches from Sarah's face. The messages were real. Marcus's contact photos smiled back at her from dozens of cruel texts. No, The word escaped Sarah's lips like a dying breath. Jessica pocketed her phone and stepped back. You know what the best part is? He's not even coming tonight. He's at my apartment, in my bed, where he belongs. Sarah tried to process the words. The anniversary dinner, the celebration, the lies. You want to know what we were doing while you sat here, waiting like an idiot? Jessica's voice grew louder, more theatrical. We were laughing about you, about how desperate and clingy you are, about how you actually believed he loved you. The phones kept recording. The crowd kept staring. Sarah felt like an animal in a zoo exhibit. Stop, she whispered. Stop what? Telling the truth. Jessica took another step closer. The truth that everyone in this restaurant can see. That you're a pathetic, unwanted woman clinging to a man who can't stand the sight of you. Sarah's breathing became rapid and shallow. The baby kicked hard against her ribs, sensing her distress. Please, Sarah begged. Just leave me alone. Leave you alone? Jessica's laugh echoed off the restaurant walls. Like Marcus left you alone? Like everyone leaves you alone because you're so utterly forgettable? Then Jessica drew back her leg and kicked. Her designer heel connected directly with Sarah's pregnant belly. The impact sent Sarah crashing backward in her chair. She hit the floor hard, her head striking the marble with a sickening crack. The restaurant erupted in screams and gasps. Someone yelled for an ambulance. Another person shouted for security. Sarah lay on the cold floor, her vision blurring. Warm wetness spread between her legs. Her hands frantically searched for her belly, for any sign that her baby was okay. That's what happens. Jessica stood over Sarah's crumpled form. When worthless women try to steal what belongs to someone else. The quiet waiter appeared at Sarah's side in seconds. His gentle demeanor had vanished completely. His eyes burned with cold fury as he stared up at Jessica. But Sarah didn't see his face. She only felt the spreading warmth, the growing panic, the terrible silence from her belly where kicks should be. My baby, she whispered into chaos. Someone please help my baby. The ambulance sirens wailed in the distance. Sarah remained on the cold restaurant floor, her dress stained with blood and broken dreams. Strangers knelt beside her, offering napkins and whispered prayers. Stay with us, honey. An elderly woman pressed a clean cloth against Sarah's forehead. Help is coming. The restaurant manager rushed between tables, his face pale with panic. Everyone please step back. Give her room to breathe. But Jessica didn't step back. She stood over Sarah like a conquering queen, checking her manicured nails for damage. Her red dress remained spotless, while Sarah bled on marble floors. Drama queen, Jessica muttered loud enough for everyone to hear, always making everything about herself. The quiet waiter moved closer to Jessica. His fist shook at his sides. You need to leave. Now. Excuse me? Jessica turned toward him with raised eyebrows. You're just a waiter. Know your place. Before he could respond, the restaurant doors burst open again. Marcus Martinez strode inside wearing his expensive suit and practiced smile. He looked like a politician arriving at a campaign event. What's all the commotion? His words died when he saw Sarah crumpled on the floor. His wife, his pregnant wife, bleeding. Sarah's heart leaped despite everything. Marcus was here. He would help her, defend her, choose her. Marcus. Sarah reached toward him with trembling fingers. Thank God you're here. She attacked me. She kicked our baby. Marcus looked between Sarah and Jessica. His jaw tightened. His eyes darted around all the recording phones, the staring faces, the social media disaster unfolding in real time. Jesus, Jess. Marcus grabbed Jessica's arm. I told you to wait in the car. Wait in the car. The words hit Sarah like a second kick to the stomach. She was supposed to wait in the car? Sarah's voice cracked. You brought her here? To our anniversary dinner? Marcus didn't answer. He was too busy scanning the crowd, calculating damage control. Sir, your wife needs medical attention. The elderly woman looked up at Marcus with disgust. She's bleeding. The baby might be in danger. Of course. Marcus finally knelt beside Sarah, but his touch felt cold, mechanical. like he was touching a stranger. "Everything will be fine, Sarah. Just stay calm." Sarah stared into his face. The face she'd kissed goodbye that morning. The face she'd trusted for 5 years. Now she saw something different in his eyes. Something she'd been too blind to notice before. "You knew she was coming here," Sarah whispered. "You planned this. Don't be ridiculous." Marcus glanced nervously at the phone, still recording. "I had no idea Jessica would stop lying." The words exploded from Sarah's chest. "Just stop lying to me." The restaurant fell silent again. Even Jessica looked surprised by Sarah's outburst. 2 years, Sarah continued, her voice growing stronger despite the blood. "That's how long you've been cheating, isn't it? 2 years of business trips, late meetings, emergency calls." Marcus's face flushed red. "Sarah, you're in shock. You don't know what you're saying." "I know exactly what I'm saying." Sarah tried to sit up. Pain shot through her back, but anger gave her strength. "Remember our 3rd anniversary? When you had that client dinner, that lasted until 2 a.m. Marcus went very still. "You came home smelling like her perfume. The same perfume she's wearing right now." Sarah's eyes locked onto Jessica. "Chanel number 5. I should have known." Jessica stepped backward, her confident smirk faltering. "And last Christmas," Sarah continued, "when your mother asked why I looked so sad in all the family photos, you told her I was just hormonal. But I was sad because my husband had checked out of our marriage. Before we continue this emotional journey, take a moment to subscribe for more heartbreaking stories like this." The quiet waiter watched everything with sharp, calculating eyes. He memorized faces, noted details. His military training made him observe things others missed. "Sarah, please." Marcus reached for her hand. "Not here. Not in front of all these people." Sarah jerked away from his touch. "These people already saw your girlfriend kick your pregnant wife. What's a little more truth?" "She's not my girlfriend," Marcus hissed. "She's a colleague who got carried away." Jessica's mouth dropped open. "A colleague? A colleague?" The tension shifted. Now Marcus faced anger from both women. Marcus Alexander Martinez. Jessica's voice turned ice cold. "Did you just call me a colleague? After 2 years of telling me you love me? After promising to leave her for me?" Marcus's face went white. The phones captured every word, every lie unraveling in real time. "Jessica, calm down, calm down." Jessica's laugh was sharp enough to cut glass. "I just kicked your wife for you. I destroyed my reputation for you. And you're calling me a colleague?" Sarah watched her husband's world collapse from her position on the floor. Part of her felt vindicated. Part of her felt sick. "Tell her, Marcus." Sarah's voice was deadly quiet. "Tell your colleague about the apartment you rented for her in downtown, the one with the view of the river." Marcus's mouth opened and closed like a dying fish. "Tell her about the credit card you gave her, the one connected to our joint account." Sarah's words cut through the restaurant like surgical blades. "The account with our baby's college fund." Jessica stared at Marcus with growing horror. "You used her money? You used your wife's money to pay for our dates." The crowd pressed closer. This was better than any reality TV show. "Or maybe," Sarah continued relentlessly, "you should tell her about the other colleague, the brunette from accounting, the one you've been texting during our doctor appointments." Now, Jessica looked like someone had slapped her. "Other colleague?" Marcus grabbed Jessica's arm roughly. "We're leaving. Right now. Don't you dare touch me." Jessica yanked free. "Don't you ever touch me again, you lying piece of—" "Ma'am." The quiet waiter stepped between them. His voice was calm, controlled, professional. "The ambulance is here. Perhaps you should both step aside." Paramedics rushed through the crowd with a stretcher and medical equipment. They knelt beside Sarah, checking vital signs and asking rapid questions. "How far along are you?" one paramedic asked. 7 months, Sarah whispered. "Any cramping?" "Sharp pains." Sarah nodded. The fear crashed over her again. Her baby, her innocent baby caught in this nightmare. "We need to get you to the hospital immediately." As they lifted Sarah onto the stretcher, She looked up at Marcus one final time. Her husband stood frozen between his wife and his mistress, his lies finally exposed to the world. 5 years, Sarah said as they wheeled her toward the ambulance. 5 years I wasted on you. Marcus started to follow the stretcher. Sarah, wait. Let me explain, sir. The quiet waiter blocked his path. I think you've done enough damage for one night. Marcus looked at the waiter with confusion. Who are you to tell me what to do? She's my wife. The waiter's eyes went cold as Arctic ice. Not for much longer. The hospital room smelled like antiseptic and broken promises. Sarah lay connected to monitors that beeped steadily, confirming her baby's heartbeat. Alive. Hurt, but alive. Her phone buzzed constantly with notifications. The restaurant video had already gone viral, was trending on social media. Strangers were dissecting her humiliation frame by frame. A soft knock interrupted her spiraling thoughts. Mrs. Martinez? You have a visitor. Sarah expected Marcus. Maybe Jessica coming to gloat. Instead, the quiet waiter from the restaurant stepped through the door. He still wore his black uniform, but something about him looked different now. Taller, more dangerous. How did you get in here? Sarah pulled the hospital blanket higher. Visiting hours are over. The man closed the door behind him and locked it. The click echoed through the small room like a gunshot. Military hospitals have different rules. He turned toward her, and Sarah saw his face clearly for the first time. The jawline, the dark eyes, the scar above his left eyebrow from when they were 12, and he'd tried to protect her from bullies. Sarah's heart stopped completely. David, her twin brother, smiled the same crooked smile she remembered from childhood. Hello, Sarber. The childhood nickname hit her like an avalanche. Tears flooded her eyes instantly. You're supposed to be dead. They told me you were killed in action. Afghanistan, 3 years ago. I was never in Afghanistan. David moved closer to her bed. I've been in Seattle, working deep cover for naval intelligence. Sarah stared at him like he was a ghost, which, in many ways, he was. Deep cover investigating what? Your husband's business empire. David pulled up a chair beside her bed. Marcus Martinez isn't just cheating on you, Sarah. He's been laundering money through his construction company for 3 years. The words didn't compute. Sarah's world was already shattered. Now her brother was telling her it was built on lies from the foundation up. That's impossible. Marcus builds office buildings. He pays taxes. He goes to PDA meetings. Marcus builds office buildings with dirty money from drug cartels. David's voice was matter-of-fact. Military. He uses his construction projects to clean cash. The PDA meetings are cover. The Perfect Family Man Act. Sarah felt sick. How do you know this? Because I've been watching him for 18 months. Taking photos. Recording conversations. Building a case. David leaned forward. Do you remember when you told me about your new boyfriend? 5 years ago. The successful contractor who swept you off your feet? Sarah nodded weakly. His name triggered alerts in our system. We've been tracking money flows connected to the Hernandez cartel. Marcus's company kept showing up in financial reports. So you got a job at the restaurant to spy on him? I got a job at his favorite restaurant to spy on him. David's eyes hardened. What I didn't expect was to watch him destroy my sister for 2 years. The monitors around Sarah's bed beeped faster as her heart rate spiked. 2 years? You've been watching for 2 years. Every anniversary dinner, every birthday celebration, every time he brought Jessica there to humiliate you. David's fists clenched. Do you have any idea how many times I wanted to break his neck with my bare hands? Sarah tried to process everything. Her dead brother was alive. Her husband was a criminal. Her marriage was a lie inside a lie inside a lie. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you contact me? Because my cover would have been blown, and because I knew you wouldn't believe me without proof. David pulled out a thick manila envelope. Now I have proof. He opened the envelope and spread photographs across Sarah's hospital blanket. Pictures of Marcus meeting with men in expensive suits. Stacks of cash being loaded into construction vehicles. Bank statements showing impossible amounts of money flowing through shell companies. This is enough to put him away for 20 years, David said quietly. Money laundering, tax evasion, racketeering, the whole package. Sarah stared at the evidence of her husband's crimes. When were you going to turn him in? Tomorrow morning. I was waiting for one final piece of evidence. David's smile turned cold. But after tonight, after what that psychotic girlfriend did to you and my nephew, the timeline just moved up. Nephew? The ultrasound photos on your Instagram. It's a boy, right? David's expression softened. I've been following your pregnancy from a distance. I know this sounds crazy, but I've been so proud of you, so protective. Fresh tears spilled down Sarah's cheeks. I thought I was completely alone. You were never alone. I've been in the shadows, making sure you were safe. David reached out and squeezed her hand. Well, as safe as I could keep you while maintaining cover. Not safe enough. Sarah gestured to her bandaged head. Your nephew almost died tonight. David's jaw muscle twitched. That's going to be addressed. Something in his tone made Sarah look up sharply. What do you mean, addressed? I mean Marcus Martinez is about to learn what happens when people hurt my family. David stood up and walked to the window. Tomorrow morning, federal agents will arrest him at his office. His assets will be frozen. His accounts will be seized. And Jessica Chun, real name, Rebecca Park, wanted in 3 states for credit card fraud. David turned back to Sarah with a predator's smile. She kicked a pregnant woman in front of 50 witnesses and 20 cell phone cameras. Assault charges are already being filed. Sarah felt a strange mix of justice and terror. David, you can't. Can't what? Can't protect my sister? Can't make sure the people who hurt you face consequences. David's voice was steel wrapped in velvet. Sarah, I'm a Navy SEAL. Making bad people disappear is literally my job description. I don't want you to do anything illegal. Everything I'm going to do is completely legal. David smiled again, and Sarah remembered why bullies used to run from her brother. Sometimes the system works exactly as it should. You just need to know which buttons to press. A new knock at the door interrupted them. David instantly shifted into waiter mode, his posture changing, his face becoming bland and forgettable. Expecting someone, he asked quietly. Before Sarah could answer, Marcus's voice carried through the door. Sarah, I know you're awake. We need to talk. David's eyes went completely black. Want me to get rid of him? Sarah looked at her twin brother, her protector, her ghost made flesh. Actually, I want to see him. I want to look him in the eye and watch him lie to me one more time. You sure about that? Sarah nodded toward the manila envelope full of evidence. I'm sure about everything now. David moved toward the door, then paused. Sarah, when this is all over, when the dust settles, I want you to know something. What? You're going to be okay. You and your son. I'm never disappearing again. He unlocked the door and opened it. Marcus stood in the hallway holding a bouquet of roses and wearing his most practiced expression of concern. Excuse me, David said in his bland waiter voice. Visiting hours are over, but I'm sure Mrs. Martinez wouldn't mind 5 minutes. Marcus barely glanced at him. Thanks. As David walked past Marcus in the hallway, he whispered something too quiet for Sarah to hear, but she saw Marcus's face go pale. I saw him stumble slightly. Then her brother was gone, leaving her alone with her husband and all his lies. Marcus entered the room with his politician smile. Sarah, honey, I'm so sorry about tonight. Jessica completely lost her mind. I had no idea she would. Shut up, Marcus. The roses fell from his hands. Marcus picked up the fallen roses with shaking hands. Sarah, please, let me explain what really happened tonight. I said, shut up. Sarah's voice was ice cold. I'm done listening to your explanations, your lies, your excuses. Marcus sat down in the chair David had vacated. His expensive suit was wrinkled now. His perfect hair showed traces of sweat. You're upset. You're in shock. The baby, don't you dare mention my baby. Sarah's monitors beeped faster. Not after you told your whore you hoped I'd miscarry. Marcus's face went white. She showed you the texts. She showed everyone the texts, Marcus. The whole restaurant saw them. The whole internet has seen them by now. Marcus pulled out his phone and started scrolling frantically. His face grew paler with each swipe. This is bad. This is really bad. Bad for who? Bad for you? Your reputation? Your business? Sarah laughed, but it sounded like breaking glass. What about what's bad for me, Marcus? What about what's bad for our son? Our son. Marcus looked up from his phone. How do you know it's a boy? The question hit Sarah like a slap. He didn't know. Her own husband didn't know the gender of their baby because he'd missed the last 3 ultrasound appointments. You weren't there, Sarah whispered. When the doctor told us, you weren't there. You were with her. Marcus had the decency to look ashamed for about 3 seconds. Then his phone buzzed with a text message. His eyes lit up as he read it. Jessica wants to meet. She says she has a plan to fix this. A plan to fix this? Sarah stared at him in disbelief. Marcus, she kicked me. She kicked your pregnant wife in a restaurant full of people. The only thing that needs fixing is your relationship with reality. She was emotional. Women get emotional. Marcus stood up and straightened his tie. I need to go talk to her. Calm her down. Figure out damage control. Sarah watched her husband prepare to leave her hospital bed to comfort his mistress, the woman who had tried to kill their baby. The absurdity of it would have been funny if it wasn't so soul-crushing. If you walk out that door, Marcus, don't come back. He paused with his hand on the door handle. You don't mean that. I've never meant anything more in my entire life. Marcus turned back toward her. For a moment, Sarah saw something that might have been regret in his eyes. Then his phone buzzed again and the moment vanished. We'll talk tomorrow, when you're thinking more clearly. He opened the door. Get some rest, Sarah. You look terrible. Then he was gone, leaving Sarah alone with the beeping monitors and the smell of wilted roses. 3 hours later, Sarah's phone exploded with notifications. Marcus and Jessica had returned to the same restaurant. Not to apologize, not to check on Sarah's condition. They'd returned to celebrate. The first video showed them at the exact table where Sarah had been humiliated. Jessica wore a new dress, white like a bride. Marcus had champagne. They were toasting to freedom. Jessica's voice carried across the restaurant in the shaky cell phone footage, to finally getting rid of dead weight. The comment section was brutal. This is the same woman who got kicked earlier. They came back to mock her. Where's the pregnant wife? Is she okay? These people are sociopaths. But other comment were worse. She deserved it for being so pathetic. If my wife was that boring, I'd cheat too. Maybe don't marry someone who can't keep their man happy. Sarah scrolled through video after video. Her humiliation had become entertainment. Her marriage had become a reality show. Her pain had become content for strangers to consume and judge. In one video, Jessica held up Sarah's hospital bracelet that had somehow fallen during the attack. Look what I found. A souvenir from tonight's drama. The crowd at the restaurant laughed. Actually laughed. In another video, Marcus made a toast to my beautiful girlfriend who helped me see the truth about my marriage. Some women are worth fighting for. Others are just obstacles to happiness. More laughter. More applause. More phones recording. Sarah realized she wasn't just a victim anymore. She was a public spectacle. A viral sensation for all the wrong reasons. Had been joined by and strangers were dissecting her relationship online, making memes about her tears, turning her worst moment into entertainment. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Is this Sarah Martinez? The woman from the restaurant video? Sarah almost hung up, but something in the caller's voice stopped her. Who is this? My name is Linda Chun. I think we need to talk. Chun? Are you related to Jessica? Jessica is my daughter. The woman's voice was thick with shame. And I'm calling to apologize for what she did to you tonight. Sarah gripped the phone tighter. Your daughter tried to kill my baby. I know. I saw the videos. I've been watching my daughter destroy herself for 2 years, and tonight she crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. What do you want from me? I want to help you. Linda's voice was steady now. Jessica thinks she's won something tonight. She thinks humiliating you makes her special. She has no idea what's coming. What's coming? The truth about your husband, about the money, about the other women. Linda paused. Mrs. Martinez, my daughter isn't Marcus's only girlfriend. She's not even his favorite. Sarah's heart stopped. Other women? 3 that I know of. Maybe more. Linda's voice carried decades of disappointment. Jessica is just the loudest one, the most desperate one. Sarah closed her eyes. The humiliation had layers, depths she hadn't even discovered yet. Why are you telling me this? Because watching those videos tonight, seeing my daughter kick a pregnant woman, and then celebrate it, I realized I failed as a mother. Linda's voice cracked. But maybe I can still do one right thing. What kind of help? The kind that makes sure Jessica and Marcus learn that some games have consequences they never imagined. Through her hospital room window, Sarah saw a familiar figure in the parking lot. David, still in his waiter uniform, talking on a cell phone. Even from a distance, she could see the cold fury in his posture. Mrs. Chun, Sarah said quietly, I think you're going to have more help than you realize. In a restaurant across town, Jessica and Marcus posed for selfies at the scene of their crime. They had no idea that every laugh, every cruel joke, every moment of celebration was being recorded by someone who understood that evidence was just another word for ammunition. The night was far from over. Linda Chen's call ended just as David entered Sarah's hospital room. He moved like smoke, silent and purposeful. His waiter uniform was gone, replaced by dark tactical clothing that made him look like what he really was. A weapon. Who was that? David locked the door behind him and pulled the blinds closed. Jessica's mother. She wants to help me take them down. David's expression didn't change, but Sarah caught the slight nod of approval. Smart woman. She knows her daughter just declared war on the wrong family. He pulled a laptop from a black bag and set it on Sarah's bedside table. The screen came alive with surveillance photos, financial documents, and recordings. David, what is all this? 18 months of intelligence gathering. His fingers flew across the keyboard. Every conversation, every transaction, every lie your husband has told. The first image showed Marcus meeting with a man in an expensive suit outside a construction site. Timestamp, 6 months ago. Carlos Hernandez. Drug money. $15 million laundered through Marcus's company in the past year alone. Sarah stared at the photo of her husband shaking hands with a stranger. How did you get this? Telephoto lens from a building across the street. Military-grade equipment. David clicked to the next image. Marcus thinks he's careful. He's not. More photos flashed across the screen. Marcus loading duffel bags into construction vehicles. Marcus meeting with men who looked like they could kill someone with their bare hands. Marcus living a completely different life than the one Sarah knew. Here's your husband discussing the best ways to dispose of physical evidence. David played an audio recording. Marcus's voice filled the hospital room, discussing body, disposal with a casual tone he used to order coffee. Sarah's blood turned to ice water. That's not Marcus. That can't be Marcus. Voice recognition software confirms it's him. Recorded 3 weeks ago at his office. David opened another file. Bank statements scrolled across the screen showing impossible amounts of money flowing through accounts Sarah had never seen before. He's been skimming money from the cartel. Small amounts they wouldn't notice immediately. David's voice was clinical, professional. But small amounts over 2 years add up to serious theft. The kind that gets people killed. Killed. Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. The Hernandez organization doesn't have retirement parties, Sarah. They have funerals. David turned to face her. Your husband isn't just a cheater. He's a dead man walking. He just doesn't know it yet. Sarah tried to process the information, but her brain felt like it was short-circuiting. Why didn't you arrest him months ago? Because I wasn't working alone. David pulled up a new file. This is a joint operation between Naval Intelligence, the FBI, and DEA. We needed him to lead us to the bigger fish. Photos of men in suits filled the screen. Names and criminal records scrolled beside their faces. Marcus was supposed to introduce us to his cartel contacts at a meeting next week. We were going to arrest the entire network in one coordinated strike. Was supposed to? David's smile was sharp as a blade. Plans changed when his psychotic girlfriend kicked my pregnant sister in front of 50 witnesses. He opened a new application on the laptop. Live surveillance footage from multiple cameras showed Marcus and Jessica still celebrating at the restaurant. You're watching them right now? I've been watching them for months. Every restaurant, every hotel, every apartment. David's eyes never left the screen. Do you know what your husband did for the 30 minutes between leaving this hospital and meeting Jessica for their celebration? Sarah shook her head. He stopped at an ATM and withdrew $5,000 in cash. Drug. Money. He's literally using cartel funds to wine and dine his mistress. The surveillance footage showed Marcus handing Jessica a thick envelope. She opened it and squealed with delight at the cash inside. They're spending blood money on champagne while you lie in a hospital bed. David's voice was deadly calm. That changes the rules of engagement. What does that mean? David pulled out a cell phone and dialed a number. Agent Martinez? It's Lieutenant Commander Torres. Operation timeline. Just moved up. We go tomorrow morning. He hung up and turned back to Sarah. By noon tomorrow, your husband will be in federal custody. His assets will be frozen. His accounts will be seized. His lawyers won't be able to help him because his lawyers are also under investigation. Sarah felt a strange mix of satisfaction and terror. What happens to me? To the baby? You're going to be rich. David pulled up another document. As the innocent spouse, you're entitled to all marital assets acquired before Marcus started his criminal enterprise. The house, the legitimate business accounts, the investments. And Jessica? David's smile turned predatory. Jessica Chun, also known as Rebecca Park, has outstanding warrants in California, Nevada, and Oregon. Credit card fraud, identity theft, assault on a pregnant woman in Washington State. He showed Sarah a mugshot of Jessica from 2 years ago. Different hair, same cruel eyes. She's been running cons for 5 years. Your husband wasn't her first married victim. He was just her most profitable one. Sarah stared at the criminal record of the woman who had kicked her baby. Pages of fraud charges, theft convictions, and restraining orders. How did Marcus not know? Because he didn't want to know. Jessica was beautiful and willing to stroke his ego. He never bothered to run a background check on his own mistress. David closed the laptop and looked directly at Sarah. Tomorrow morning, federal agents will arrest Marcus at his office. Jessica will be arrested at her apartment. The restaurant celebration footage will become evidence in their trials. And tonight, I will make sure they don't run. David stood up and headed for the door. The Hernandez cartel has people watching Marcus. They know about the skim money. If he tries to flee the country, he won't make it to the airport. Sarah grabbed his arm. David, promise me you won't do anything that will get you in trouble. Her brother's smile was the same one that used to comfort her after nightmares when they were children. Sarah, I'm not going to hurt them. I'm not going to break any laws. I'm not going to risk my career or my freedom. Then what are you going to do? I'm going to let them destroy themselves. David kissed her forehead. Sometimes the best revenge is just giving people enough rope to hang themselves with. And sometimes, he added as he reached the door, the rope is already around their necks. They just haven't realized they're standing on a trapdoor. The next morning arrived with the sound of Sarah's phone ringing at 6 a.m. Unknown number again. Mrs. Martinez? This is Elena Rodriguez. I believe we have a mutual problem. Sarah sat up carefully in her hospital bed. The pain medication made everything feel slightly surreal. I'm sorry, who is this? My husband is Marcus's business partner, Roberto Rodriguez of Rodriguez Construction. Elena's voice carried the weight of sheer betrayal. I saw the videos last night. What that woman did to you was unforgivable. Sarah remembered Roberto from company parties. Quiet man, kind eyes, always talked about his wife and daughters with genuine love. Mrs. Rodriguez, I don't understand why you're calling. Because 3 hours ago, federal agents raided my husband's office. They seized his computers, his files, his bank records. Elena's voice cracked. Roberto called me from jail. He's been arrested for money laundering. Sarah's blood went cold. David hadn't mentioned Roberto would be caught in the net. My husband is innocent, Mrs. Martinez. He had no idea what Marcus was doing with their company. Elena continued. But the evidence suggests otherwise, unless we can prove Marcus was acting alone. How do we prove that? By showing the investigators that Marcus was using company funds for personal expenses, expensive gifts for his mistresses, luxury apartments, designer clothes. Elena's voice grew stronger. Roberto kept meticulous records of every company expense. If we can match Marcus's personal spending to unauthorized company withdrawals, we can prove Roberto was being deceived too. Sarah thought about David's surveillance photos, the evidence he'd gathered. Mrs. Rodriguez, I think I can help you. 2 hours later, Elena Rodriguez sat beside Sarah's hospital bed with a laptop and 3 boxes of financial documents. She was younger than Sarah expected, with the determined look of a mother protecting her family. Roberto documented everything. Elena spread bank statements across Sarah's bedside table. He's obsessive about record keeping. It used to drive me crazy. Now it might save his life. Sarah studied the papers. Columns of numbers that told the story of her husband's double life in brutal detail. Here, Elena pointed to a withdrawal from 6 months ago. $15,000. Roberto asked Marcus what it was for. Marcus said new equipment for the Bellingham project. What was it really for? Elena pulled out her phone and showed Sarah a social media post. Jessica Chun wearing a diamond necklace, tagged at an expensive jewelry store. Date stamp, the same day as a withdrawal. Your husband bought his girlfriend a $15,000 necklace with company money. They worked through the documents methodically. Every large withdrawal had a matching purchase for Jessica or one of Marcus's other mistresses. Jewelry, clothes, rent payments, vacation trips. My God, Sarah whispered. He's been stealing from his own business partner for 2 years. Not just stealing. Stealing to fund multiple affairs while his pregnant wife ate cereal for dinner because money was tight. Elena's voice was ice cold. Roberto, show me your grocery receipts. Marcus claimed you were overspending on food. Sarah remembered those fights. Marcus yelling about their budget while she clipped coupons and bought generic brands. Meanwhile, he was spending thousands on diamond earrings for women whose names she didn't even know. Elena's phone rang. She answered with a terse yes. Her face lit up as she listened. Roberto, slow down. Say that again. She hung up and turned to Sarah with excited eyes. The federal agents want to make a deal. If Roberto cooperates fully and helps them build a case against Marcus, they'll recommend minimal jail time. That's good news. It gets better. Elena pulled up a new document on her laptop. Roberto has been secretly recording his meetings with Marcus for the past year. He was worried about Marcus's behavior and wanted to protect himself legally. The audio file played Marcus's voice discussing money transfers with casual indifference to their legality. His laugh when Roberto expressed concerns about irregular transactions. He's laughing about breaking the law, Sarah said quietly. He's laughing about using Roberto as a shield. If they got caught, Roberto would take the blame because his name was on the company paperwork. Sarah felt sick. Marcus hadn't just betrayed her. He'd been planning to destroy an innocent man to save himself. Elena closed the laptop and looked directly at Sarah. Mrs. Martinez, I need to tell you something else. Something Roberto discovered yesterday. What? Marcus has been planning to disappear. He opened accounts in the Cayman Islands 3 months ago. He's been moving money offshore gradually, preparing to vanish. Vanish where? Roberto thinks Marcus was going to fake his own death, leave you with massive debts and a ruined reputation while he started a new life in a non-extradition country. The words hit Sarah like physical blows. Not only had Marcus betrayed her, he'd been planning to destroy her completely and abandon their unborn child. There's more. Elena hesitated. Roberto found travel documents. Marcus bought plane tickets to Ecuador for this Friday. 2 tickets. 2. One for him. One for Jessica Chun. Elena's voice was gentle now. Sarah, they were leaving in 3 days. They were going to vanish together and leave you holding the bag for everything. Sarah's monitors began beeping faster as her heart rate spiked. The nurse came and checked on her, but Sarah waved her away. How long until the federal agents arrest him? Elena checked her phone. According to Roberto's lawyer, they're moving in 2 hours. Marcus will be arrested at his office at noon. Jessica will be picked up at her apartment. Sarah thought about David's promise, about justice, about her unborn son growing up without the shadow of Marcus's crimes. Mrs. Rodriguez, Roberto's recordings of Marcus, do they prove he was acting alone? Absolutely. Roberto repeatedly asked questions about the legality of transactions. Marcus repeatedly lied and told him everything was legitimate. And the company expense records prove Marcus was stealing to fund his affairs. Down to the penny. Elena smiled for the first time. Marcus is going to prison for a very long time. Roberto will get probation and community service. You'll get everything Marcus stole from you back. Sarah's phone buzzed with a text from David. Phase 1 complete. Phase 2 begins in 60 minutes. Justice is coming. She looked at Elena Rodriguez. Another wife betrayed by Marcus's lies. Another family destroyed by his greed. Mrs. Rodriguez, would you like to watch Marcus get arrested? Elena's smile turned predatory. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Through the hospital room window, black SUVs were already positioned themselves in the distance. Federal agents preparing to close the trap that had taken 18 months to build. Marcus had no idea his celebration with Jessica would be his last night of freedom. At exactly noon, Marcus Martinez stood in the center of the grand ballroom at the Fairmont Hotel, champagne glass raised toward 300 guests. His engagement party to Jessica Chun was everything he dreamed of. Elegant, expensive, perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, Marcus's voice carried across the room with practiced confidence. Thank you for joining Jessica and me as we celebrate our new beginning. The crowd applauded politely. Business associates, social climbers, and Jessica's carefully curated friends filled the ornate space. Crystal chandeliers cast golden light over designer gowns and expensive suits. Jessica stood beside Marcus in a white dress that cost more than most people's cars. The same hands that had kicked a pregnant woman now displayed a 5-carat engagement ring that sparkled under the lights. Some of you may have seen unfortunate videos circulating online. Marcus continued smoothly. I want to address those rumors directly. Sarah watched the live stream from her hospital bed, her laptop balanced on her knees. Elena Rodriguez sat beside her, both women waiting for the show to begin. My marriage to Sarah Martinez was over long before I met Jessica. We've been separated for months, though we kept it private for business reasons. The lie rolled off his tongue like honey. Several guests nodded sympathetically. Poor Marcus, trapped in a loveless marriage to a difficult woman. The incident at the restaurant was simply my estranged wife making a scene when she learned about our engagement. Unfortunately, she fell during her emotional outburst. More nods, more sympathy. Marcus was rewriting history in real time, transforming himself from cheating husband to victim of a crazy ex-wife. Jessica, and I didn't want to let one woman's jealousy overshadow our happiness. So here we are, surrounded by people who matter, celebrating our future together. He turned to Jessica and kissed her deeply while the crowd cheered. Camera phones captured every moment for social media. The perfect couple overcoming adversity together. David Torres stood in the hotel kitchen, wearing a catering uniform and watching the ballroom through service windows. His earpiece crackled with updates from federal agents positioned throughout the building. Alpha team in position. Bravo team ready. Charlie team standing by. David checked his watch. 12:07. Marcus was right on schedule, delivering his lies exactly as predicted. In the ballroom, Jessica had taken the microphone. I want to thank everyone who supported us through this difficult time. Marcus and I have faced criticism from people who don't understand true love. Her voice carried the righteousness of someone who believed her own lies. Some women can't accept when a man chooses someone better, someone younger, someone who actually appreciates him. The crowd laughed appreciatively. Jessica was playing her role perfectly. The innocent other woman saving a man for his terrible wife. But we're stronger than the haters. We're proof that real love conquers everything. She handed the microphone back to Marcus, who wrapped his arms around her possessively. Jessica's right. We've been through hell, but we've emerged victorious. Tonight marks the end of my past and the beginning of our future. At that moment, the ballroom doors opened. Federal agents in dark suits walked through the entrance with military precision. 20 of them, moving in formation, their badges visible to everyone in the room. The conversation stopped mid-sentence. Champagne glasses froze halfway to lips. 300 guests turned to stare at the armed law enforcement officers filling their elegant party. Marcus Antonio Martinez. The lead agent's voice cut through the silence like a blade. You're under arrest for money laundering, racketeering, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Marcus went completely white. The champagne glass slipped from his nerveless fingers and shattered on the marble floor. There's been a mistake, he stammered. I'm getting married. This is my engagement party. Step away from the woman, Mr. Martinez. Keep your hands where we can see them. Jessica grabbed Marcus's arm. What's happening? Marcus, what are they talking about? Agent Rodriguez stepped forward with handcuffs. Marcus Martinez, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. The guests pressed backward, creating a circle around the surreal scene. Phone cameras captured every second as Marcus's perfect world collapsed in real time. This is insane. Jessica screamed at the agents. He builds office buildings. He's not a criminal. Ma'am, we'll need you to step aside. A female agent approached Jessica with professional calm. Jessica Chun, also known as Rebecca Park, you're also under arrest for fraud, identity theft, and assault. Now, Jessica went white. My name isn't Rebecca Park. You have the wrong person. The agent pulled out a tablet showing Jessica's mug shots from 3 different states. Fingerprints don't lie, Mississippi Park. As the handcuffs clicked around Marcus's wrists, he scanned the crowd desperately, looking for allies, for escape routes, for anyone who might help him. Roberto, Marcus called out to his business partner. Tell them this is a mistake. Tell them I'm innocent. Roberto Rodriguez stepped forward with a grim expression. I'm sorry, Marcus. I can't do that. Marcus's face crumpled as he realized his closest friend wouldn't save him. Roberto, please. Think about our families. Our business. I am thinking about our families. Roberto's voice was steady. That's why I've been cooperating with federal investigators for the past 6 months. The words hit Marcus like physical blows. His best friend, his business partner, his trusted ally had been working against him. Ladies and gentlemen, Agent Rodriguez addressed the crowd. This establishment will remain open. You're free to leave or stay as you wish. However, anyone who witnessed financial transactions with Mr. Martinez may be contacted for questioning. Half the guests immediately headed for the exits. The other half pulled out their phones to film the arrest. Marcus's humiliation was becoming a viral sensation just like Sarah's had been. As agents led Marcus toward the door, he caught sight of a familiar face in the crowd. The quiet waiter from the restaurant, now wearing a catering uniform, watching with cold satisfaction. You, Marcus whispered. You did this. David Torres stepped forward and smiled. I didn't do anything, Mr. Martinez. You destroyed yourself. I just documented the process. The agents guided Marcus and Jessica through the ballroom doors as 300 wedding guests watched in stunned silence. The perfect engagement party had become a public arrest. Sarah's phone rang as the live stream ended. Sarah, it was her lawyer. The federal agents just called. All of Marcus's assets have been frozen pending investigation. As his legal spouse, you're entitled to claim the legitimate marital property. How much? The house is worth $800,000. The legitimate business accounts contain $400,000. His investment portfolio has $300,000 in clean money. The lawyer paused. Congratulations, Mrs. Martinez. You're about to become a very wealthy divorced woman. Sarah looked at Elena Rodriguez, who was grinning from ear to ear. Elena, what about Roberto? Elena held up her phone, showing a text from her husband. Plea deal accepted. 6 months house arrest. 2 years probation. Full restitution to victims. Roberta will be home for dinner. Through her hospital window, Sarah watched news vans arriving in the parking lot. The story was already breaking on social media, had been replaced by, and her phone buzzed with a text from David. Checkmate. Justice served. See you tomorrow. Sarbear. Sarah closed her laptop and placed her hands on her pregnant belly. Her son would grow up without a criminal father. He would have a trust fund built from recovered stolen money. And he would have an uncle who would teach him that protecting family was the highest honor. The woman who had been kicked and humiliated in a restaurant was gone. In her place sat someone stronger, someone who had learned that justice wasn't just a concept. It was a weapon that could be wielded by those patient enough to wait for the right moment. Marcus and Jessica's celebration had lasted exactly 18 hours. Their prison sentences would last considerably longer.